Morning all. All right, so we just have the one game in the NHL tonight, and then so I've got the one game at the top. I've got the news of the day stuff here. Let's go ahead and jump in. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific. The Vancouver Canucks at home against the LA Kings. I'm wearing Kings because they're on the board twice, and because I think they probably win this one. This is the first of four meetings. They'll meet again March 18th, April 2nd, and April 10th. This was the game I went to last year where Vancouver's season turned around. That, of course, was once Bruce Boudreau was brought in. I'm not anticipating the same thing happening this time. The LA Kings are 11-7-1. They've been playing pretty darn well lately. Velarde with 10 goals, 5 assists stands out, and I'm going to come back to Velarde when I get down to this here as well. Edler, 3 assists thus far. I always appreciate seeing Edler back in Vancouver, even if it is wearing another team's jersey. The Canucks are 5-9-3. It's been a rough go of it. Besser in 11 games has 9 assists, no goals yet. So hoping that I see a first goal for Besser and maybe for Hughes as well. In 13 games, Hughes has a very Barzal-like 14 assists. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams play against one another, but I think the Kings probably win it. Speaking of winning, if you're a Devils fan, you're still undefeated in your last, now it's 11 games. So nice run for the New Jersey Devils. Well done. And we'll see how far this goes. But honestly, it has been very impressive to watch the New Jersey Devils this year. The Washington Capitals news is on Alex Ovechkin because, of course, at 789 goals, he now sits 12 behind Howe, 104 behind Gretzky. He is 37 years of age. I've heard people say he's 38. I've heard people mentioning, well, almost 40, which is fine, but all of the he's slowing down talk and it's gonna fall apart soon talk, I don't think. Anyways, even though I reported on his scoring rate being a little slower, he'll still get there. I really think so, especially 104 behind Gretzky. And I know 100 goals is a lot, but again, I think Ovi's determined to get there. So unless his body breaks down before that takes place, I say he will eclipse Gretzky. Calgary Flames from last night. Tampa Bay beats them 4-1. Markstrom, after the game, being talked to, saying he knows he has to be better. And Markstrom's numbers this year have not been great. Vladar's haven't been great either. And so when both goaltenders' numbers drop, the first thing you do is you look at the blue line. And there have been injuries to Calgary's blue line. But Markstrom is not playing the same this year as he did last year. And that's the tricky thing with a career year. And I really think Markstrom had a career year. And I say that as somebody who, loved him in Vancouver. He's a very good goaltender. And he can be excellent for short stretches as well. But over the course of a full season, is he top 10 in the NHL? You can make the argument either way. So I think for the Flames, they just need to find the scoring. They need to be able to bail their goaltenders out. And I think that would help. I think part of it could very well be, and this is something I've always said about Luongo in Vancouver, he couldn't allow a goal because the Canucks would just sort of give up, and it was weird. If Luongo was having an off night, it felt like all the Canucks did in front of him too. And I get a similar feeling with Calgary. It's not exactly the same, but it does feel like maybe the pressure's a little higher on the goaltenders this year. But we'll see how it all turns out. Pierre LeBrun, as the reporters discuss that there's no trades going on, there doesn't seem to be a lot of trade talk either. There's rumors that Columbus and Vancouver are having discussions. That could be possible. Both teams, of course, off to underwhelming first months and a bit of their season. And so it's understandable that they might be discussing what they could do, especially if the Canucks have extra forwards and Columbus has extra defensemen, which, I mean, there is that situation there. But the Kings are being singled out by Pierre LeBrun as a team that has a lot of depth on the blue line. Jordan Spence is down in the AHL. And the Kings are really holding on to this depth. And when are they going to move it? And reading this, I have an honest opinion on this. Rob Blake is a really smart general manager. I'm coming back up to Gabe Vilardi. So last year Vilardi was in the AHL, and I, along with many others, said, "Wow, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why Vilardi's in the AHL." Now he's got 10 goals to start the season. The LA Kings seem to be trying to emulate what Detroit used to do. Detroit used to have players that were in the AHL that looked like they were over-ripened. that were there for a while. Players would stay in Europe and not necessarily come over to the NHL right away, just to make sure they're ready. And I feel like the Kings are doing the same thing. Plus, if they have extra depth on the blue line while other teams are looking for defensemen, that's fine. But it doesn't mean they're obliged to trade away any of that depth on the blue line, because you don't want to be, let's say they traded Spence tomorrow, right? They trade him, and then all of a sudden they have two defensemen go down in tonight's game in Vancouver. Well, now they might want to call Spence up. Well, they just traded him. So we know that blue lines get beat up during the season, and I think, honestly, it's smart to hold on to that depth on the blue line. And so that's my opinion. It's sort of like when people ask, well, what would you do with the Canucks? My answer is I certainly wouldn't be looking to make big blockbuster trades just to make them. I think you can cause more damage than good that way. So, yeah, the LA Kings, I think, are smart by not moving those players. I think Byfield's another example of this. I don't think that, we can write off Byfield yet because of what we see with Velarde, because of what we see with other players in the organization. Sean Durzi was down in the AHL, not really an NHL level defenseman in most people's eyes, but he played very, very well in Ontario, and then gets called up, and he's been really good. He's been quite good since then. So I like what the Kings are doing here. I do. I think they're right, and I think that if Rob Blake says forget it, I'm not trading a defenseman, and so the trade market moves off somewhere else, I think that's the right call. I really do. I don't think there's any problem with depth in an organization. Maybe we've just become so used to teams having to trade that off at the deadline to either get cap space or just for whatever reason. But yeah, so kudos to them. So, of course, last night's game, I just want to throw this in here. I did wear the Solani jersey for the recap video last night. But Solani and Numminen both put in the Jets Hall of Fame. I have not done a video on Teppo Numminen. I double-checked. I've done one on Solani. I did that over 5 years ago. But I did one on Solani. So I do need to do a video on Teppo Numminen. Absolutely. So before people ask, yeah, that does need to happen now that he's in the Jets Hall of Fame. So there you go. Just a little news video combined with your preview. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.